Hey everyone, in this episode What in the flip? Oh, rats. Flat tire. Damn, okay. Well, then that's what we're about to do. How to change a flat tire, real time. Just us, the side of the road, and our toolkit. Let's do it. Alrighty then, so to begin, we take our bike and we shift into the smallest cog or your highest gear. This will not only make removing the wheel easier, but when we put the wheel back into the bike frame, it will assist us then as well. And I went and I took the little flat tire kit off the saddle, put it on the ground so I don't have to fiddle with it after. And then watch this move. Real important. Don't be one of those people who puts their bike upside down. You know the rule, rubber side down. You see the way the pedal, I kind of moved it so that it's holding the frame off the ground. Your bike is safe like that. The tape will be okay. Everything will be okay. Just put it on the side. Now for actually removing the tire, you must start with the bead. So you see how I'm going around and I'm removing the bead from the rim. And you know what I'm talking about. That tire really gets sucked up into that bead and it's hard to remove. You can't just put a tire lever in there and pry. You have to remove the bead first. Once I've done that, both sides, I remove the tire. I put the valve up and I push down on just the rubber and I create some space so that I can just, boom, pop that tire right off. And if you can't do it with your hand, you're still going to start this way and then put the tire lever at the bottom where you've created a little slack for yourself. Now, don't litter with your tube. Don't be that kind of guy. Put it in your jersey, put it in your thing, whatever, and run your hand now through the tire. Something caused that flat. A piece of glass, a staple, something. If there's a big gash in the tire, a cut, you need to find it now. There's no use fixing this flat and getting another one 10 feet down the road. So make sure whatever caused it, if it's a foreign object, you feel for it, you find it, you remove it. Now we're gonna put the tire back on the rim. Be careful, some tires are directional, and line up that logo with the valve stem. It just looks nice. It lets people know, hey, I know what I'm doing. And you take your inner tube. If you have a mini pump, you can pump a couple, pumps into the tube to give it a little bit of turgor pressure, we'll call that. But I'm going to use CO2 for this flat. So I put a little air in with my mouth. It's kind of gross, but the truth is you're going to be able to tuck the inner tube much better when the inner tube has a bit of a shape to it versus putting it in there completely flat. So I get a little bit of air in there. I make sure the inner tube isn't sticking to itself, and I drop it into the well of the tire. And I really want the inner tube to be in there nice and free, not bunched up, not binding. And I just tuck it in. So I think I zoom in here so you can see. I take that tire and I just tuck it. I take that tire. I take the tube and I tuck it all the way around. And obviously I wouldn't be holding it like this if I was really changing the flat. It'd be on the ground. But I tuck it in, and essentially you don't want to be able to see the inner tube anymore. It's tucked in to the actual, well of the rim, and it disappears. And when that's there, now you can fold the bead in on the other side of the tire, and you don't have to worry about pinching it or anything. Now, to start, we push up on the valve, and you're going to tuck the tire underneath the valve. And that's how you get started. And there's probably some debate about, you start opposite the valve. I start with the valve and I don't have any issues. Just do it this way. It works. You can figure out how you want to do it once you can change it flat, no problem. I use the same technique of squeezing the tire and pushing down to get it back on. And you'll see I get it to the bottom and it's a little tight, no problem. I just start at the top again and using, squeezing like in the palm of my hand, I get the rubber and I compress, I stretch it down to the bottom, makes putting the tire on real easy. No tire lever needed. Now again, you might use a mini pump, which is great. I'm going to use CO2. Tighten that thing on. When you're putting the inflator head on, you got to tighten it on real quick onto the CO2 thing. And when you're ready to fire, just watch your hand. That CO2 gets super cold. If this is a hot summer day and your hand's sweaty, it's gonna stick to that CO2. It'll rip your skin off. I mean, it really, really gets cold. So just kind of protect yourself there. In the CO2 inflator head I'm using, there isn't a valve or anything like that. You just, once it's primed, you squeeze it. When it decompresses, boom. Now putting the rear tire back in, you get the skewer in between the top and the bottom part of the chain, and then grab the derailleur cage. Don't touch the chain and get all greasy. Grab the cage, which should be clean, and just kind of help guide that top pulley around the cassette. Makes things nice and easy. And you'll see when I put that tire back on, I lean over it with my chest so that the wheel gets centered in the frame just by my body weight. And if you're trying to do this with the bike upside down, you know how some people do that, they flip their bike upside down and they put the wheel in, you're gonna put that thing in crooked. I mean, you just will. It's just not the way to do it. Once I do that, the quick release on the brakes, you gotta tighten them again. You know, that's pretty self-explanatory. You'll know if your brakes aren't tight. And that was that. We just changed to flat. Excellent. Now here's a pro tip for you. This spent CO2 cartridge is mighty cold. And actually the CO2 cartridges with that little bit of rubber on the actual metal will really help out, because if you touch that to your skin, it's gonna stick. But since you're not gonna litter, that in the back of a jersey, right along the neck or something, real nice on a hot day. When you take this off the inflator though, go slow, turn it off slowly, because there's still a little bit of pressure in that cartridge, and if you turn it off, it's gonna, and it's like not dangerous, but you can pop the little O-ring that is inside the inflator, and once you lose that, this is gonna leak all the time. And that was that. How to change a flat. Hopefully the voiceover works. Hopefully you enjoyed the video, and you know, like, subscribe, and all that nonsense to see more. Later.